Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap, and today we have another topper of NABARD Grade A 2021 with us. His name is Mr. Ananta Shinde, and he has cleared NABARD in his second attempt. So what were the changes that he made in his preparation, and how did he ended up in the organization? Everything we are going to understand in this particular session from himself. So hello sir, welcome to EduTap.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much. First of all, I would say my name is Ananta Shinde. So that was
Sorry.
one.
Yeah, so that's Ananta Shinde. Okay.
Yes.
So f- first of all, we would like to know about your education qualification and how you ended up then preparing for NABARD.
Okay. I did my engineering from VNIT Nagpur in mechanical branch. After that, I worked for around 1.5 years in core in design. After that, UPSC was always my option. Like it was always planned. So I got into UPSC. I gave my 4 attempts and I gave my 5 attempts and wrote 4 mains. However, I couldn't clear it. So after UPSC, I always felt that like during studying for UPSC, NABARD was always an organization that was always highlighted when it came to agriculture and rural development. So me myself being from a rural background and my father being a farmer, so that work of NABARD has always inspired me that like if I couldn't get into UPSC, I would definitely be very happy in working at NABARD, so that I'll get to work at ground level and grassroots level, and I can make an impact on life of people at grassroots level. So that was the main motivation to do for NABARD.
Right. So then you gave examination last time also, and you reached till interview stage. Like you could not make it to the final merit list, but you have seen the interview. So this time, so you must have started preparing for the next cycle by then only. So this time when the syllabus changed, the pattern changed. So what was your reaction?
Actually, I would be honest that bringing in the descriptive part for NABARD was like a boon in disguise or blessing in disguise, because I always had that knack or like descriptive writing because of my UPSC preparation. So I was not taken aback by this change. I was actually happy that now I can use that skill here as well, because when it comes to only objective questions, it's like 1 or 0 type. If you either get it right or you get it wrong. But in a descriptive, you have the uh, chance of expressing or like writing stuff that would give you marks. Even if you go here and there a little, it won't matter that much. But you get marks and you get to write what you know there. So that was a good thing actually.
True. Even if we don't know the exact answer, but we can
Yes.
write something about it. In
Yeah.
objective, it's like either you know or you don't know.
You don't. Yes.
Yeah. So first we'll understand how you prepared for phase one. We'll understand all the sources that you covered and what was your strategy, which subject did you prefer and which you did not, or kept at least priority. So in phase one, this time we had two sections. One was just qualifying in nature, and another one was the one of the merit section, which would finally would be responsible for making it for the phase two, right? So we'll start with the non-merit section. That was the qualifying section. So what was your strategy for it?
Okay. So like last year I started for both RBI as well as NABARD. So like working for the non-merit section that became non-merit this year, the practice was already there since last year. I got into RBI assistant and I'm working at RBI right now as an
All right.
assistant. So I was always like the practice for non-merit section was like the quant, reasoning, and English. English was always my forte. Like English was never a problem for me. Then the quant and reasoning, as it became non-merit, then uh, to be honest, we didn't have to bother much about it. We just have to qualify. We just have to get the scoring mark or the cutoff marks, and that's it. So I didn't focus much on that section this year because I had already practiced it last year. So, but the best things for it is always to give mock tests for quant, reasoning, and English. The best way to study is giving mock tests. Like after covering all the topics, the mock test was the only way that I used this year.
Right.
Nothing else for the merit section,
So
non-merit
this
section.
yeah, so this time in non-merit, decision making was a new subject that has been added. So rest QRE and GA, they are asked in RB assistant also. That would have been in practice. But this decision making, how did you prepare for it?
Yeah, the two sections, that is computer and decision making. So I had read about computer awareness also for RBI assistant,
Right.
I guess, and like NABARD as well. So, and the other topic of decision making, I would again add here about UPSC. That we
Yeah.
have a subject called ethics there, ethics in governance. So decision making was kind of part of it. We had case studies and all. So it got covered that way as well. So I was never bothered about non-merit sections. I completely focused myself on the merit section. Uh, like that was my whole strategy for NABARD's prelims this year.
Right.
I guess
So
that would be strategy for everyone because decision making, the questions are really very simple. You just have to use your common sense and always think about the decision that would bring justice to everyone, like fairness and justice and equality. This should be the values that you should focus on while taking any decisions.
right. So yeah, decision making is something that is more on your values and common sense also. That so the answer that is giving justice to everybody, you can go for that. All right. So that was for non-merit, and now coming to the merit section, which consisted of ESI, ARD, as well as the general awareness section. So what were the sources did you refer for it?
In single word, EduTap. Like for ARD and ESI, like I didn't study anything. The summary sheets that EduTap provides for ARD are the best source for the static part of ARD. Because if you think about the reference book and other stuff, you would like need a year to prepare for NABARD. So the
Right.
summary sheets provided by EduTap, I would say that even you don't need to read content sheet in so much thoroughly. You just have to skim them and read summary sheets like twice or thrice. That would suffice for ARD static part. For ARD current part, again I used the ARD material that EduTap provides. For ESI, I would say that I used many different sources like EduTap as well as from other channels and sources by other classes. And for current affairs, I mostly use the marathon videos on YouTube. Like I used to watch any marathon video from any coaching classes and from any person because I didn't get time to like read regularly. I didn't read regularly or didn't make notes for current affairs this year. I was completely dependent on the marathon videos. I had notes for my ART static and ESS static ready last year itself. So that was the material that I used.
So you said that for GA you did not had your notes prepared, so you relied on marathon of every channel that was conducting marathon for it. So means you have made through it, but that's quite shocking that it worked really, and maybe for both for phase one and phase two.
Yeah, it worked actually. But,
So, what would you say that you covered more marks in ESI and ARD because you had already prepared for it, or GA in GA also you were able to score a good number because of these marathon series?
for phase two, I would say that descriptive part was the best thing that happened, and I'm
Yeah,
sure that I must have scored many marks, like more marks in descriptive than in objective part. So, and with respect to ESI, ARD, and current, uh, definitely I must have scored more marks in ESI and ARD. For
right.
current affairs, the marathon videos and that was the only source.
Right.
So we have to wait and watch like how many marks did I actually score in GA. But I would
Yes.
say like ESI ARD was the best part to do. And I guess for NABARD, if you prepare for ESI and ARD thoroughly, it would like take you through the level. You'll get it.
Yeah. So schemes they also cover a major portion of ESI in examination. So for that also, did you relied on marathon or you had some other strategies for that?
For schemes, I particularly used like materials of EduTap as well as some material from like for UPSC that we use for UPSC. We get like booklet for specifically for schemes. So schemes is the most important part. Schemes, budget, economic survey, census, and other reports that government publishes. These things you have to focus like specifically. Uh, I I don't consider those things in current affairs. These are
Right.
basically, yeah, current affairs. I was talking specifically about the awards and
Yeah.
books or those that
One
stuff.
liners that
One
come. Yeah.
liners. But these things, these are part of static as well, like the
Right.
schemes, the budget, survey. So you have
Right.
to focus on these things specifically.
Yes, and also the reports that are related to agriculture, for example,
Yes,
agri census, handloom
agriculture,
census, these were
NABARD,
also there.
NABARD's annual financial intelligence
Yeah.
survey.
Yeah.
All this, I had notes prepared for all these reports specifically, like agri census, then forest, like Forest Survey of India as well, then all other reports from Government of India. And
Right.
also India.
And in fact, the aspirants who are preparing for such examination, some of the census, they are like, for example, agri census, it comes after every 5 year. So they can make notes of it right now also, because that is
Yeah,
something that is not going to change.
yeah, I had made notes for all these reports last year. I didn't make notes this year. So I
Right.
just revised it like many times. I would say I must have revised all these notes at least like 4 to 5 times from last year till and this year as well. So
Right.
this year, like I took a holiday, I took leave for 7 days before the mains, and those 7 days was the time that I just revised whatever notes that I had already made.
Right. So, when last year you gave examination, at that time also were you working in
No,
RBI?
I wasn't working there. I joined RBI in July 20.
All right.
Yes,
So after that, because much of the notes that you have already made, so during this job, you just had to revise the thing.
right, sir. Yes, yes, yes.
Right. So, yeah, so that was for phase one and phase two, some of the insight that you've already given about subjective, but now we'll discuss that in detail. So, in phase two, we have two paper. Paper one, in which English is there, and in paper two, wherein ESI and ARD is there for specialist post. So, in English, what do you feel like that? What kind of questions are asked in essay and letter? Means one format is there. For example, in letter, the format is there, or essay, you know that you how you should write. But if somebody has to prepare, what do you think that what kind of topics they should practice for English?
I would add you that English is like a very important part of this examination. I didn't clear last year just because of English. There was no other reason that I didn't clear last year. Last year there was googly in English paper. Essay was made of 300 words and letter was made of 150 words, which no one has practiced till then. I couldn't manage my time and I ended up writing essay of around 210 words, and I scored, I would say, 2 marks less in essay. That's why I didn't clear. I scored like 24 in interview last year and
Hmm.
missed by 2 marks. So English was the only reason that I didn't clear. So I would advise everyone to focus on English because half of the marks are taken by English itself. So uh, the English essay parts like essays are basically on current affairs. I would say the scheme, you have to be thorough about the schemes, the government reports to mention in your essay. Essays are basically very simple topics. NABARD doesn't expect you to be very technical about the essays, and the topics are also not technical, mostly about education, women empowerment, agriculture status in India, or anything current that happens. Maybe the farm laws that
Hmm.
were in news last year. So these are very simple topics and very basic topics. You can just prepare 5 to 10 topics or 5 to 10 you can pick up 5 to 10 sectors and prepare some short anecdotes or some quotes. You should be ready with those quotes and anecdotes for a writing essay. And obviously, you should have some facts to prove your
Right.
points. Like essay, you should write analysis in essay. You just don't have to write just English there. You need to write analysis in it. So for analysis, you need some facts. So just prepare some basic topics. I had used the list given by EduTap as well as the fodder material that EduTap provides for essay. these material are very much helpful for essays as well. And letter, I would say it's just a fixed format. You don't have to prepare much for letters. You just have to prepare that you finish the letter and essay in the prescribed time. The most difficult part of these exams, like maybe RD or NABARD exams conducted by IBPS, is the interface that they provide for descriptive writing.
Hmm.
So what I did was I created, like, I used to write in the small window on my laptop whenever I practiced. I
All
used to
right.
make like a window of only a quarter of my laptop screen, and I used to scroll there itself. So that helped me a lot there because every second counts there. You can't waste time there, and that is very irritating, I would say, for the first timer
Yeah.
to go back and forth and type without even knowing what you are typing. Because half of the words you can't see when you type them. So please practice for that using like this technique. You can use this technique. That's it, I would say. And RCs are simple, like reading comprehension. You don't have to bother much about it. You just have to read the comprehension properly. For it, the preparation strategy is reading newspaper. On for Pressy as well, reading newspaper and writing Pressy on your own self from the newspaper reports.
Right. So that's very comprehensively you have explained preparation for paper one, and now coming to paper two. So, someone who is not from agriculture background might have been shocked when he looked at the 15 marker question that was compulsory to do, and that was related to agriculture. That was on crossbreeding. So, what was your reaction when you looked at something? Because agriculture, maybe most of the aspirants they don't study that in detail, to expect that as a 15 marker question. So, how did you tackle with that?
Right, like crossbreeding वाला question was a like actually a difficult question there. बस दिमाग में यही था कि अब तो कुछ ना कुछ तो लिखना ही है। तो जितना भी
Right.
पता था ब्रीडिंग के बारे में, like what is breeding, what are types of breeding, like I didn't write it in like 300 words. I think 600 words is
Yeah,
expected. So
600.
I just wrote answer of 300 words. No one, I think no one would have written more than 300 words for that question, and that was not even expected. If you had wasted time thinking of 600 words in that question, that was a mistake. So I just thought about the 300 words में इसको लिखना है. I was very sure about the first question on MSP. MSP का इतना पढ़ा हुआ था that I wrote everything, like how is MSP calculated, Swaminathan code, the A2, A2 plus FL, C2, all that thing. I had already written 600 words, very long and descriptive answer. So I was very confident that इसमें 15 से 12 तो मिलना ही है अपने को. तो फिर अब क्रॉस ब्रीडिंग के 15 में से हमको अगर 8 भी मिल जाता है, 8 या 10 भी मिल जाता है, तो भी कोई
True.
पंगा नहीं होगा. So I just thought about it and ब्रीडिंग के बारे में जो भी पढ़ा था, like everything न्यूज़ में जो था, I guess the buffalo named Bani.
Yeah.
I
One.
even
Yeah.
mentioned that in that answer that government is trying like insemination techniques, and I didn't write much on crossbreeding. I just wrote on breeding.
Reading. Right.
Because I didn't know the specific parts about crossbreeding. So यही करना है. Descriptive का यही तो सबसे best use होता है कि you can write stuff that you know and leave it to the checker that इसको
Yeah.
कैसे answer.
Yeah, exactly. Because even though that was a compulsory question, it was not something that like it would decide if you fail or pass. So you can just attempt whatever you feel like you know the answer. 5-6 marks मिल जाए कोई नहीं, and rest you can gain in the rest of the questions. Yeah, that's true.
वहाँ
Yeah,
पे वो कॉन्फिडेंस रहना जरूरी होता है. अगर वो क्वेश्चन देकर आप डर जाओ कि ये खत्म हो गया, अभी तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला, तो it doesn't work that way. You have to be confident that बाकी क्वेश्चंस में मैं निकाल
true. And see, for subjective writing, what do you prefer, to write paragraphs or you write point wise answers?
point wise answers.
All right.
Like
So like,
point-wise answers are the best thing to do. Paragraphs में it is difficult for the reader to read. It is difficult to convey what you exactly want to convey. So my technique was very simple. Like for MSP, what are the benefits? I will used to give the heading benefits of MSP. Point number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like challenges with respect to MSP 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and what are solutions to solve those problems. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. And even in those pointers, I used to have the subhead like MSP. Uh, the coverage is less. Like the point would be coverage, COVER. That I would write in capital, and then the data in it used to come in small letters. So that is how I wrote all the answers, like in pointer form.
Right.
No answer was written in pen.
Because in the interface we can't bold and highlight
Yes,
the characters, so instead of that you used to
yes,
capital.
capital.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So that was for the ES and ARD, basically, because subjective, uh, point wise is good for the reader also, whoever would be checking the copy. So they would also get to know that. And because there was no such features of bolding or highlighting the stuff, so you just capitalized it. So that was pretty much of the phase two. And now let's,
I would
yeah,
add one more thing for
yeah.
like point wise. One more benefit that you have to write less. Like you don't have to bother much about the grammar in point form. So that is also a benefit. You use less words, but you convey more things that you want to convey. So that also helps in point form.
True, because in paragraph you have to link with many of the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was for phase two, and now let's come to the interview. So this was the second time that you faced it. So what's the difference that you feel like? Was there any difference as a fresher and a repeater?
The best thing is the confidence that you gain from the previous interview. The confidence is all that matters for competitive examinations. I would say for specifically for the personality test or interview part of any examination. So I was very calm and composed for this interview because I knew that NABARD and also after reading the transcripts of other people who gave interview before me, the one thing was sorry, always common that panel बहुत chill है, तो
Hmm.
कोई tension है नहीं. So I was very chill about it, and specifically if you prepare NABARD's website, if you go thoroughly through the NABARD website, you don't have to read anything else. You just have to read NABARD's website, each and every point of the NABARD website, and no question would be asked out of that apart from your profile. So for me, the first question that they ask that you are working at RBI, what do you do there? So this is a very general trend. If you are a working professional, first 2, 3 questions that chairman asks you are specifically related to your work profile. And after that, the other members, they shift to the other questions based on your biodata or based on the answers that you have earlier given. So that is how it went for me as well. So like I was confident about it, and I would say like I gave all the answers. I made few blunders, but I guess that doesn't matter. In the end, the panel wants to know like how you are as a personality, how you can add to this organization when you join.
Hmm.
So
So
and
did they ask you about your UPSC attempts?
no, not at all. I guess if you get a job,
Yeah.
if I would have not got job of RBI assistant last year, they would have definitely asked me कि इतने साल क्या करेंगे. I had left my job in 2016 and I was preparing for UPSC since then. So
All
they
right.
would have definitely asked me कि there have been 4 to 5 years. इतना time कैसे लग गया, क्या कर रहे हो and all.
Right.
And these questions were asked to my other friends who unfortunately couldn't get a job last year. तो तुमको एक जॉब मिल जाए मतलब तुम्हारे सारे पाप खुल जाते हैं. को माफ है तुमको कितना भी पीछे करो. They don't go for it. They just saw कि I am working at RBI right now. They asked me few questions about it. The chairman was Mr. Gandhi sir, who was like ED at RBI sometime, who was the DG, like Deputy Governor at RBI sometime back. So he knew about my department. So he asked me specific questions about that as well. So he got to know that yeah, काम किया है यहाँ पे भी कर देगा. So that is what it is.
Yeah.
You should be thorough about your work profile, and you should be thorough about NABARD's website. NABARD's, that
True.
is all.
And did they also ask you personal questions like your hobbies and things? Are they asked in?
They didn't ask me. They asked, I guess, few of the other people. but they didn't ask me any of the personal question. I guess one should not waste much time on all those things. Just focus on NABARD's website and your work profile. And if you're not working right now, you have to be more thorough about NABARD's work and NABARD's website. That
True.
is it.
Yeah. And you should also be you should also come up with some good answer. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
That why you're still
But you're
not.
still not working.
Yeah.
And they also asked me like, why do you want? I want to join NABARD after working at RBI.
Right.
So I was very clear about this always that I wanted to join NABARD last year as well. So they saw that yeah, he wants to come into NABARD. He had tried last year. He had given an interview last year. One of the questions like they had asked me about PLP and that is potential linked report for every district that NABARD prepares, and also state focus paper that NABARD prepares. So they asked me, how do you know about these things that NABARD does? So my answer directly was, sir, I had prepared last year as well. Last year भी interview दिया था, इसलिए पता है. So I was like honest. That is how it worked. I guess you have to be honest. You have to be sincere. That's it. That is all. Don't bluff in interviews. Uh, and just be clear what you want. They were also surprised that when they asked me, like, if you get NABARD, like, are you also trying for RBI? So I clearly said that I'll try for RBI, but if I get NABARD, I would stay with NABARD. So that is what my plan has always been to work with NABARD. So I guess all these answers might have synced with them.
Yeah.
ठीक है. I hope that I got good marks for interview.
Yeah, but you have already made it. So does it still matters?
No, it doesn't matter now.
Yeah. So, to sum up what Mr. Ananta has said, so he said for phase one, he focused more on the merit section rather than the qualifying one. But he advised all the aspirants to do as much mocks as possible for the non-merit section, because you still have to qualify to be in phase two. And for phase one, for his strategy for GA portion, he focused on marathon, but there's a twist also in that he's talking just about the general questions on books and authors and all that, but he had already thoroughly studied about all the reports that are there that are asked in examination. And also ESI and ARD he had already prepared, and he revised as much as possible. So for the phase one, his focus was revision on the merit section rather than the not merit one. For phase two, he says you should practice your typing skills in the quarter portion of your screen, because in examination it becomes very, it can be quite irritating for the first termers. And also he says about how to write subjective answers, so because you cannot highlight something, so you can just write that in capital letter and use pointers rather than paragraph, is what he suggests. And then for interview, he says you should be thorough with the organization. You should know in which organization you want to go to, so you should be thorough with it. And for that he suggests that its website, NABARD's website, is the best source for that. So sir, have I missed anything?
No, and your work profile.
Yeah.
For
And
the
your,
work.
yeah, you should be thorough with work profile. What are you doing? What is your surrounding? You should be thorough with that. So sir, at the end, is this something that you want to say to all the aspirants?
Basically, that be consistent with your efforts. Definitely, I would say there is second timers look at NABARD. Many of my friends that have not cleared last year have cleared this year, and even last year, people who cleared were second timers for NABARD. So there is second timers luck with NABARD. Even if you are not cleared for first time, don't be disheartened. Try again. You'll definitely clear the second time, and like focus on ESI ARD. That is the all the game where you have to play. And for phase two, English is a very important part, so don't miss it. Like people just keep reading about ESI ARD and they don't practice English, but English
Mm.
carries half of the marks. So it is a very important part. So focus well on it. Uh, yeah, just be consistent. And there are many acronyms in market like TDs for dedication, determination, discipline. You should definitely have all these things.
Right.
And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and one more thing that I want to add that I forgot to add earlier was the thing that you said on the compulsory question, that you need not to panic if you don't know the answer. You can gain, you can get the marks in the other questions also. So just be relaxed at that time and just write whatever you know about that thing.
Yeah.
So that is also one good.
Practice answer writing well in advance. Like you have to practice answer writing. Without practicing answer writing, you cannot write an answer, because all those tricks that I use, the capital letters, pointers, subheadings, headings, all this I had practiced it many times before writing in exam. Those things ऐसे अचानक से दिमाग में नहीं आती वो सब चीजें.
True.
सब चीजें पहले से practice करके रखो.
And especially during exam pressure.
Yes, especially during exam pressure.
Yeah. So that is all to all the aspirants in this particular session. And we really hope that this session was fruitful for you all, and you'll definitely learn the strategy that you can also follow for the NABARD examination. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And for this success, I would thank everyone who has helped me in this journey, my family, my friends, and everyone who has supported me. So thank you everyone, and thank you, EduTap, for this interview session.
Thank you so much, sir.